Greetings, everybody. It's the impromptu coffee and politics and iced tea. I have the amazing, honorable Veletta Forsythe Lill on the show. We're going to talk about monies. And
where's the money?
Where's the money? Because we briefly talked about this on Monday, and just kind of how with the entertainment districts and the hot spots. I mean, I've been around. I've seen several reiterations of Deep Ellum. I've seen Uptown and West Village kind of go through some changes. And I can't say that I was an it girl, but I went to all of the hot places during my 20s. And there was nothing super fantastic or unique that was being curated. It was just, we went to the next hot spot. And I brought that up with you, with the entertainment districts. Yeah. That it just seems like we're just moving the money around different parts of the metroplex, the city, and is especially with these ultra premium districts. They're very cookie cutter experiences. Yes, they are very pretty to look at and get engaged with and swept up, but they're pretty much all the same. So, looking at the AAC, because that's our premier district, and it's taken since 1998 to now to get to a place where it's bringing in $1.7 billion. It took from 1998, guys, to now, where you have the work, live, and play. Lockton, Ernst & Young, a couple of Scotia Bank has moved into that area. Scotia Bank, yes, has moved into that area. So of course, you have the Mavs, the Stars. You're going to have the Wings playing there. You have movie theater. You have other services and amenities that have moved into the surrounding area. You got the Katy Trail. You have all of the housing. And so here we're at this place. 2031 is coming, and the teams all seem to want to vacate the AAC, and we're just talking about moving to another part of downtown.
And you've forgotten the West End.
Yes.
Which was hot for a while.
The it place in the 90s.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You went through the rainbow arches and so
Yes, yes.
And I've had the pleasure, if you will, the honor of representing entertainment districts during my time on the council. So, Uptown, part of downtown,
yes,
part of small parts of Deep Ellum,
yes,
Oak Lawn,
yes,
the neighborhood,
yes,
and bringing folks together. And I come at it sort of from a public policy standpoint.
Okay.
What the city tries to negotiate during those times.
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
And certainly Deep Ellum, and I love Deep Ellum, and it's got great bones, and it's got great history.
Yes.
A simple track and so forth. And it's gone through many iterations, but it seems like it gets at some point where it gets very dense, and it gets very late at night, and the things that you don't want happening in your city start to happen.
Of course.
And the thing that you try as a city in your neighborhoods is to keep them safe.
Yes.
Okay.
Primary.
That's your primary. That means people will continue to come. And I not only represented the Arts District, I'm a founder of the Dallas Arts District organization.
You have a wealth of experience and knowledge.
So I have
on
a
this.
lot, and you learn things all the time. What I don't understand I think of one of the most successful, I hate to use entertainment districts, but neighborhoods, which is the organic Bishop Arts.
Yes. Lower Greenville.
Lower Greenville.
Yes.
And Lower Greenville's gone through trouble
Yes, it has.
before. And,
Yes.
you know, the occasional building burned down, and you know.
And they had their issues. The M Streets had their issues with crime and cars being broken into because of all of the people
And
coming
big
into
festivals. Big
Yes.
festivals. I did the reorganization of the St. Patrick's Day party, not the
Okay.
parade,
Okay.
but the party, which is sort of mid Greenville, because the folks who would come to Middle Greenville on St. Patrick's Day weekend the bar owners, the businesses would not secure permits, they would not close streets, they would just kind of let it roll until the police
Showed up.
Yeah, shut it down. And you know, you had the usual people using other people's yards as bathrooms and
Yes.
and parking and so forth.
Yes.
And we had several sort of angry meetings with the community.
I can imagine so. Yeah.
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 And then started coming together to figure out how do we address those problems. So how do you address the parking problem? Because you need to make sure the fire department can get through it.
Can get through. Yes.
All those things.
Yes.
But I think in the case of whether it's Bishop Arts or Greenville Avenue, they were more organic.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of Uptown, it was part organic and part created.
Yes, it was.
So
Yes.
some things were there
Mhm.
for a very long time.
It was kind of an offshoot of Turtle Creek. Because I sort of grew up over there. My mom lives on Turtle Creek Boulevard, so I was always a frequent person in Turtle Creek Shopping Center. And that was my domain. And I know Monica had her restaurant there. I used to eat at Goodies all the time. And that's
You had the 8-0 and you had,
Yes.
Shannon Wynn had a lot of his clubs in that,
Yes.
in that general area. My first true fundraiser when I ran for council was at the 8-0, interestingly enough. But those that are sort of manufactured, which is
What we're talking about.
what
is-
we're talking
Yes.
about, they grow in fits and starts, and we saw that with Victory. Victory, the city put in $125 million for the arena.
Mhm.
I think $43 million for the tax increment financing district.
Okay.
It was a brownfield,
Yes, it was.
so I hear some people go, well, it's grown from 16 million to X billions, but
Right.
but you need to realize that it was an
Not habitable land.
EPA defined brownfield with a decommissioned coal-fired power plant.
Yes.
That's not exactly what somebody wanted to live through. So I'm
no.
sure that lowered the value, so to speak.
A lot.
By 2013, they came back to the city and said, we need more tax increment financing district,
Okay.
more economic development. And so that TIF went from, I think it was 47 million, something like that. It went all the way up to 243 million.
Oh, wow. Because the last time I checked, it was currently at 143.
Yeah,
And that was a few months ago.
and it went all the way up to they wanted all the way up to 243. And that was to continue to incentivize folks to come in there. So
Right.
obviously they weren't coming naturally.
No. No.
And
Well, I mean, the EPA and having to clean it up, I mean, that doesn't make it look like.
well,
a-
then
a
you built
place.
the American Airlines Center and you did that. But some other areas that are developing now, I think of Knox Street.
Hmm. Okay.
You-
Yes.
which is changing quickly. It's changing quickly.
The
and
Dallas
it's
that I remember is like becoming a distant
great.
memory.
Yeah. There's no Highland Park Pharmacy. There's no Weirds.
No,
There's
no.
no Froggies that you used to buy.
Yes, Wild About Harry's, all of that stuff.
And now it's a much more expensive.
Yes.
Now, it's what some developers obviously want, which is premium district.
Yes.
The natural sort of draw there is a Katy Trail.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And I was on the council when we began to build that and worked with people who are no longer with us, Philip Henderson, Kay Cobb, who were Oak Lawn residents,
Mm-hmm.
knowledgeable of urban planning, and they were the ones who really wanted the conversion from the
Okay.
rail
Yeah.
to the trail.
Okay.
And then they came to me when I went to office and said, we'd like some city money. And I said, let's work on getting you bond money, but can you raise money to match
Right.
it?
To match it. Right.
And they did.
Okay.
And they did. And today you see an amazing success
Oh, yes.
from the Friends of the Katy Trail
Yes.
and the contributions they are making. Your greatest successes are public-private partnerships, not just the private sector taking the public money,
Mm-hmm.
but it being a true partnership. And that's kind of what I worry about here in this what I consider to be manufactured.
Entertainment district. Yes. I ran by the K. Bailey Hutchins Center yesterday. Well, the demolition of it, because I used to run down Botham John to Harwood, to Corinth, and then come back into South Dallas. And I'm pissed because I can't run through there, and I've had to change my route because it's all about me. Like, y'all did not consult the Queen on this, and it was very stark to look at it and say, what are we doing here with this? Because I've tried to look at all the angles. The Lorenzo being right across the street and knowing that they're in financial concerns with making their payments for the HUD loan, and the parking lots all around City Hall that I can remember as far back as the late 80s.
Probably.
And just, yeah, because after the 70s and everybody started moving to the suburbs, any little mom and pop shops that were around there closed and then started becoming parking lots when the buildings were demolished. And to say that, all of a sudden downtown is dying because of this area and not having anything there for development. And I'm saying, okay, well, where's the plan to revitalize downtown? Because I remember downtown when it was a ghost town, and then it became a bedroom community, and then we started getting some retail back, and then we got UNT and other companies slowly moving back in there, and it started to kind of feel like downtown that I knew growing up.
Right.
But that has taken 25 years to make that happen. So to hear that if we make this whole complex around the convention center, adding another hotel around the Omni, putting a stadium here, it's still going to take 20 years for it to...
None of this happens
It doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't happen overnight. Bishop Arts was kind of cooking along a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Laura Miller represented the area in maybe, I think she started in 99 and then she became mayor in 2002.
Yeah.
Someplace in there we gave community development block grant money to that area to fix up some storefronts, that sort of thing. In addition, it was parts of it became a conservation district, so you could keep the character,
Yeah.
the charm
Yes.
that people literally, and Visit Dallas will tell you, when people come to town, they often take them down there. But this is the early 2000s,
Yes.
and now they're growing out. I went the 2 weekends ago to the Dallas International Film Festival,
Mhm.
20th anniversary. We went down to the theater in Victory, Sinopolis. My first trip down to see that. And then a friend of mine had a birthday party at City Tavern. Was that on May or Commerce? Anyway, downtown,
Right.
center of downtown. So first we're at Victory, and then we're downtown, in the center of downtown. Do you know where the action was?
Where?
Downtown.
Yes.
People were out taking pictures of the eyeball. They were sitting in Stone Street Garden.
They're going to the AT&T Plaza, walking through
Right,
there.
exactly.
Yes.
They're in there. They're
Yes.
doing all these other things down there. And certainly when a game is going on, there are things to do right there.
Yes.
But when the game's not going on, it's
There's
not.
not really anything there. And I've gone to Run It Up at the Katy Trail, and there's people there because of the trail.
Yes.
They're not there because the Sinopolis and 7-Eleven and all of that great stuff is there in the entertainment district. And we're talking about, moving that just 1 mile down to where the convention center is, because that's the distance between the AAC and City Hall.
And so it was just eye-opening for me to see that it was downtown, that had the action. But putting the pieces together to make downtown the centerpiece that it is today took, and I represented down there 97 to 2005. So during that time, we did this for all of downtown, seed money for the AT&T Performing Arts Center,
Okay.
the plan for the movie performance hall.
Okay.
We opened the Nasher, and the city,
Mhm.
the only thing the city gave to the Nasher was the landscaping around it.
Okay.
The Crow Museum opened at
The
that time.
DMA started getting more investment in
Right.
it during this time.
And they actually used to have a wall on Harwood, and they tore it down.
Yes.
Then downtown, there was only people in the Manor House when I started. I think the first week I was on the council, I cut the ribbon on, it's not 1505, no, it's the space that is across from Main Street Garden.
Oh, yes. Yes. That building.
We did Main Street Garden, we did the Kirby Building, Magnolia Hotel.
I've stayed there. It's lovely.
But each of those took incentives to do the conversion.
Yes.
Okay.
And bring the life back into downtown. That's why I'm so confused why people say there's nothing there. And people have said the same thing with Fair Park. And of course, I take the mayor and the intern mayor, and I'm like, there's always something going on. Like, where's this desert that you're talking about that there's nothing happening?
You need connectivity to where City Hall is. And it wasn't that long ago, probably the early 2010s, I was gone from the council. But Better Block, City Design Studio, everybody was doing test marketing of events in City Hall Plaza.
Okay.
And in 2011, I did the work to change the food truck laws because they were banned from downtown.
Yes.
And so we started bringing food trucks in And that was a new thing.
That was
A very new thing. At
Yes.
one point in the Arts District, when a lot of the commercial buildings weren't built, but all of the arts, we were feeding 1,000 people a day
Really?
out of food trucks. People were coming from Irving.
To
They were
come
driving
and
in
hang
lunch
out and go.
and go to the food trucks. And,
Yes.
and we had furniture, and people were able to pull up.
That is something that we've discussed with having at Fair Park, and it just hasn't happened yet. I'm hoping that will start changing.
You need the gift of Clyde Warren. I was heading up the Arts District when we opened Clyde Warren Park, AT&T Performing Arts Center, Moody Plaza, or Moody Performance Hall, all of those. The gift of that is you have millions of square feet of office around you. Okay, so people can pour out of those offices to come and have something and participate. You don't have that at Fair Park.
No.
So you have to, unless you start building you can't build housing on Fair Park.
No.
That's the state law. You can put a hotel, you can put retail.
We have to, start bringing more people into that area to get it going, which I'm hoping with the
But
zoning.
you can bring, the food trucks come. I'm trying to think of what, there's a coffee vendor, Ciro, I'm wrong in saying it. And they would do these Latino markets in Fair Park on an intermittent basis, and they would bring tens of thousands, and they would have food trucks and so forth. But they would have music, and they sort of had the entire
tattoo
complement.
and piercing group that comes there every year. So there are events that happen, but like what Clyde Warren does in that programming that happens there, we were hoping to start seeing some of that when it became the management change, that there would be some programming that started to spur that. But again, not giving up on Fair Park.
And nothing that goes on inside a building is the natural draw to keep people hanging around. You've got to have sort of multiple pieces to that, and you got to program it.
Yes, you do.
And that's one of the successes of our friends at Clyde Warren Park. Dan Biederman, who was the sort of primo park planner, not designer, but planner for what you do in it. And he did Bryant Park and New York and so forth. Plan it, program it all the time.
Right.
And that's what they're going to do in Halpern Park. That costs money.
Yes, it does.
So the question is, who's going to pay for that? Even if you get people to donate their time or to come and dance or whatever, it costs money.
Yes, it does. So, looking at taking what we have at the AAC and then moving that over to the convention center. And I'm sure a lot of the push and the draw with that is the programming that is going to happen with the convention center, and all the conventions that are going to come are going to bring all of this infusion of cash and money because people are coming, and it will just be this area for them to be entertained in outside of the hours of their conference and whatnot.
What we have lacked today is someplace for people who are at a convention downtown to watch it.
Yes.
Okay? And that walk is an unpleasant one. So that connectivity, shade trees, narrower streets, public art, all those things that sort of pull you and drive you to go that way. And then restaurants and something interesting to look at along the way.
Right.
And once again, convention centers turn inward.
Yes, they do.
Because they want to keep you inside looking at the wares. That's their job. And so, there are restaurants immediately around.
Right there. Yes, with the Omni. Yes.
But if you want them to go downtown, you need a better sort of experience moving. The thing I'm concerned about that I don't hear them talk about along Young Street, because you've got the convention center
Yeah,
and you have
the Memorial Stadium, the Academy of Black Arts, all of that.
that's on kind of the 30 side, but
Yes.
on Young, you have a cemetery.
Yes, oh yes, yes.
You have a cemetery.
Can't forget about that.
Yeah, they don't spend money, okay? Then you
And that's
have...
not a draw either.
It's not a draw. Well, I mean, people do go to cemeteries
Yes.
for some, historical reasons,
Yes.
but it is not truly a draw. You've got the cattle there, which is somewhat a draw. You also have the, Maceo Smith
Yes.
Federal Building there. It's
Yes.
not moving, and it's not a draw.
No, and then you have Founders Square, catty corner from there. So it's just office space until you get to the AT&T Plaza.
Right.
There. Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is that it's not necessarily no amenities. It's just that we have not done a good job with, we have this convention center, we have entertainment here. How do we make it such that people will circulate there in
How
what
do you
feels,
connect the dots?
yeah, in what feels like an organic and natural way, but you've planned for it to feel like it's natural and organic.
And things that you stop and look at. I mean, whatever. Is it a busker playing a violin?
Right.
Is it a historic marker? Is it a piece of art? What is it that pulls the eye and pulls the human down the street? And we simply have not connected the dots. And quite frankly, that's a whole lot cheaper than building a new arena.
Yes.
And I want to make clear, I'm not opposed to arenas, okay? I want to
I
make
don't
sure.
think anybody is.
I want to make sure that you get a decent deal, and I think that back in 1998, we put it to the voters. The voters said yes.
Yes.
We reconstituted a brownfield.
Yes.
We brought DART through,
Yes.
which that is a heavily used
Yes.
station.
Line. Yes. Yes, it is.
To go to the American Airlines Center. We capped it at 125 million. We put in new streets and that sort of thing. So I think
Yes.
it's
been a huge investment.
It's been a huge investment indeed. And then others have come in, but you're even now seeing people starting to drift up north. They either
Yes.
want to be closer to Clybourne Park,
Yes. Yes.
or they want to be closer to West Village,
Yes.
or now they want to get way further up and get next to Knox because it's next to the KD Trail.
Yeah.
It's got nice
There's
restaurants.
some connectivity there.
And you can walk the street. It's a very
Yes.
walkable street.
Because I will tell you, I've gone to council meetings when there's the break for lunch. I'm hiking it to Main Street. I'm not stopping. I'm not looking. I'm not doing anything. And I have to go to Main Street to, find somewhere to get something to eat. And I could eat at the cafeteria at the City Hall. I've done that. But again, there's nothing that drew my attention other than, I remember going to the little walk down area in front of the library that's locked now. You can't get to it. And just kind of reminiscent of what used to be.
And at one
on
point,
there.
we considered putting a coffee shop in there. In about 2001, 2002.
Really?
We considered putting...
That would have been nice.
At about the same time, we actually put a grocery store on... What street is that? It's two streets over from Commerce. We actually had a grocery store.
Really?
Next to what's the Lofts? I'm having memory problems
It's
today.
okay, because I'm trying to navigate the streets and see where, because I would have gone to the
You
grocery
know where
store.
the Aloft Hotel is?
Yes.
1 block toward downtown,
Okay.
and that apartment building there,
Yes.
and it was next to that.
Yes.
And it lasted, the city incentivized it, and it lasted probably, it was a small grocery store. It was not a bodega. It was truly a
The
grocery.
store.
And I mean, and certainly not, it would be
It
maybe
wasn't
a
a-
little, it'd be smaller than a small Trader Joe's.
Okay.
But
Like a market.
yeah, it's a market, but bigger than a bodega.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not last past about, I don't know, 2006, 2007.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
With all the people in that area for work and whatnot, it's.
You know,
And I say that because there's the Tom Thumb that's right past El Phoenix, but it has the apartments on top.
you got one there, and then you got one over close to the Meadows.
Yes.
Yes. By the Wilson block. So Tom Thumb's been strategic in putting their grocery stores just on the outside, okay? And
Yes.
downtown does use them. Now,
Yes.
they didn't come in until much later.
Much later, but gosh, that is very disappointing. Seeing that one downtown is a food desert when you're thinking about grocery stores.
It is.
Um,
And the one guy there by Neiman's, he's trying to put what he can in there. It's, you know.
yeah, in Manor House, I know they had a market, but it was in their building, so of course,
Other people didn't go in.
no.
But it's
So-
when people have been surveyed, whether it's the residents, conventionaires,
Mhm.
tourists, or businesses,
Mm-hmm.
they say they want the following downtown. They want to feel safe.
Right,
They have concerns about homelessness,
Right.
the unhoused,
right.
which the city and downtown Dallas are working on. But that is a continuous.
That will, yes,
it
it will always be a work
needs
in
to be
progress.
to be worked on.
Right.
And they say they want a grocery store or the ability to buy. Now, the interesting thing that nobody is talking about is there is a school going in 1 block.
Over from where City Hall is.
Yeah, you can see it from City Hall.
Yes, you can.
And it
who
is-
wants to? Yeah. Okay, so talk about schools. There, Uplift had one down in Deep Ellum. We thought it was all a very bizarre place to have a school. Now the school isn't there any longer, but that's post-pandemic, and a lot has changed with Deep Ellum. But to see that this school is going up, and we're talking about potentially having gambling in a casino, we have laws around that. So what's going to happen?
I don't have any idea. Because the school, I mean, the cranes are up. You've
Yes.
seen them.
Yes.
And it is basically either pre-K or kindergarten through high school. So it's the whole continuum. It's essentially 3 different schools.
Yes.
You've got a Montessori,
Mm-hmm.
and City Lab is there, which is the architecture, urban planning high school, which is now housed in Fannin. But they have done very well as you know, a school of choice for
Right.
DISD.
Right.
And then they have sort of that middle school. So you are essentially putting this entire educational facility there.
In the middle of an entertainment district. And we all know and maybe we don't here in Texas, but those that travel where there's gambling, we see the end results of gambling going wrong. I mean, I've been to Vegas. Yes, prostitution is allowed in Clark County, but not in the city of Las Vegas, but you still see it while you're there. And most people are contained in the Strip, because that's the ultimate entertainment district. But there are no schools. You don't see kids. There's nothing basically family oriented around there. that you're seeing. So it really is an adult haven, and now we're going to have a school. So, one, are they going to buy out the school, or because they're going to have?
Oh, it's barely built. I can't imagine that DISD would consider
Right.
the loss
Right.
of that.
Right. Yeah. So that says a lot with regards to planning this. Now, where Reunion used to be, that kind of backside of the convention center, seems very capable of housing the stadium and some other amenities around it. I can't say that everything that the Mavericks would want can be put there, but there's the Lorenzo, which I think will be a perfect place for corporate headquarters if they want to be downtown, and put some other office space features like their medical facility that they want to have there, and utilize that other space around the convention center to have the new stadium if that is a must. I still
And my
think,
question is, what are you going to do with Old City Park?
yeah,
I mean, it's right there.
and Memorial Auditorium
Memorial Auditorium,
that's getting 200 million, 250 million
200 million, something like
invested in it.
for the wings, and it's obviously a concert space. People like the Beatles perform there.
And it's an aged building that would require, based on the
50s.
numbers of the other architects that have made the estimates on what needs to be done for City Hall, that price tag is a lot stiffer than the 153 million of the critical needs for City Hall.
Or, and there are architects who defined as you can do it for 70 to 100 million over 10 years.
Oh wow, even less expensive.
Even less expensive. The 153 million is basically, if you look at that report from AECOM and you strip out a lot of the consulting fees and a number of things like that, it starts going down to,
Okay.
it goes to 153.
Okay.
Now, that report replaces everything inside the building, everything.
Oh, okay.
The 329
Yes.
replaces everything,
Yes.
even the things that are
Still
boilers that are
under
like-
warranty. Yes.
that are still under warranty. It basically replaces everything, and it replaces all the furniture and all those things. The $1 billion price tag comes with 5 years of rental. Someplace else, retrofitting that, 20 years of loans, etc.
Yes.
But if you hone in on what City Hall needs,
Really needs.
then you can, AIA has produced a report that said you can do it for about 70 to 100 million over a 10-year period. And
That's basically $10 million a year,
right,
which I believe CBRE said that they would save the city of Dallas $200 million over that same time period, which roughly ends up being $10 million a year. So entertainment district and moving this money around, even if the Stars and the Wings stay, and we move the Mavericks a mile away, that's still basically splitting the money.
what am I going to do with the old American Airlines stuff?
Right.
Are the Wings going to be there? And then the concerts, and is that sufficient to maintain the building? I don't have the answer for that.
And that is, for me, the troubling math.
But it will not it will enliven the building less than having 2 professional sports teams there. If you have one professional sports teams, and they already do concerts there. So if you take that down, then you have less.
Yes. So the 1.7, just to make the easy math here, 2 billion turns into 1 billion. And that's being generous with splitting it up between two districts that are 1 mile away from each other. And as we talked about with all of the hot spots that I used to do and travel to and party at in my 20s, you're just going to the next hot spot. So let's say Memorial Auditorium is redone. That's the new hot spot for concerts. Nobody's going to want to go to the AAC. The stadium for the Mavericks, everyone is, as far as NCAA games, they're going to want to go to the new stadium. They're not going to want to go to the AAC because that's old. And that's just human nature. We always want to go to the latest and greatest. So we're talking about really hurting the city.
We're moving the chess pieces around. We're constantly moving the chess pieces. The reason they want to do this is because they have to spend their hotel tax. That's their biggest pot of money.
Okay.
Okay? And essentially the city collects 15%. The max under state law is 17%.
Okay.
And essentially they collect 15%. Part of that is typically going to the state. However, a law was passed in 2021, I think,
Mm-hmm.
that essentially allowed the city to collect the state's portion. So the city is getting the state and the city's portion
Okay.
in that 3 mile range from convention center. They also collect sales tax out of those hotels,
Mm-hmm.
mixed beverage tax, and those kinds of things. Those can be used to build that sort of hotels or arenas or entertainments.
Bring more amenities. That's the funding pot for it. Right.
Right. But once you move people from City Hall into a building downtown, and I suppose you could use that money to fit it, but you're going to be paying rent out of your general fund, and your general fund
Yes.
is where you pay police, libraries, parks,
Yes.
arts.
The services that we're accustomed to utilizing as residents.
Exactly. Would then be competing with the rent.
With rent. Yes,
City
because
Hall.
rent will be paid every first of the month, regardless of
Regardless.
of what the budget is.
And so that's where we sort of split ideas. It's like, please understand where this money is coming from.
So, to say yes to downtown, and then did go through their website, and they are touting that paying rent is less expensive than maintaining City Hall. And I'm saying, how? Because it is tens of millions of dollars.
I think if you look at that chart, and of course you have to fit all those buildings, the outfit.
Yes.
I think for 5 years with the fit out and the rent, you were talking like 170 million.
Right.
For 5 years.
That's just for the administration office workers. We're not talking about retrofitting for 911, 311, and traffic. That's a whole nother ball of wax.
And where are your council chambers? And the plaza is where we go to grieve and for our grievances, or for Christmas, or all of those.
BMW race,
Yeah.
the turkey trot. Yeah.
But all these races, all these bike races, I think this weekend's the big bike ride.
Right.
You know, the Cinco de Mayo's and all of these things. Are we going to do that in front of Comerica Tower?
Founders Square. Because Jackson is very narrow, and I don't see that happening there. And there's no space in front of that building for that. Because that's one of the buildings.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it is inefficient. And the county would tell you this, because remember, county had to move out
Yes.
to redo records building,
Yes.
old rec courthouse, all of this. And so they moved into downtown and sort of spread themselves out and did a beautiful job on their historic structures.
Preservation of
Beautiful.
the building. Yes.
Dr. Elba Garcia, who led much of that, applause. But it created inefficiencies in your government. So if you went down looking to pay a traffic ticket or find out about your historic district,
Yeah,
they're not in the same.
all that
They're
kind of
not in the
stuff.
same
Yes,
building.
They're not. Yes.
And that, you know, then you're walking around in 100-degree heat trying to figure out which building am I supposed to be in.
Look, it was enough when not Bank One. God, I'm really dating myself here. When Chase moved, and I didn't know what location they had moved to, and it was over by Clyde Warren, because I went to the Dart Stop that's across the street from where they used to be Bank One. And I was like, who moved my bank? And I had to walk, and I'm like, what? Like, who does this? And I'm just looking for the bank.
Right. And you're drifting about.
Yes.
And if that's happening to you as a
Consumer.
it's happening also to your staff who have to come out of their building and go to the next building. You know, okay, the
Yes.
folks from parks need to go over
Yes.
and talk to stormwater.
Yes.
And so they're going to have to walk down the block. Which
Oh,
building
no,
are we going to
they'll
be?
just use Zoom more. They'll just act like they're remote, but not remote. With being in an office space and using the tech. That will be the carve out for that. I already know. Working previous employee with Bank of America, all my business that I did, they were in Atlanta, in Charlotte, while I was here in Dallas. Yeah. And
So the thing that if you look at the chart, and it's the chart created by the consultants chosen by the city, and you look at staying at City Hall and redoing everything, or renting, you still come out ahead fixing City Hall, no matter which of those scenarios, the sloping. And we haven't talked about the cost of tearing this down.
no, we have not.
And
We have
I
not.
think the city is looking at it, but
I brought that up with Councilman West when I had him on the show. And I said, you know, Councilman Johnson brought up asbestos. So did Councilwoman Blair. And I'm like,
there's not that much of asbestos in the bill. There's not a lot of hot areas. Okay.
so, you know, environmentally, what does this look like when you are trying to demolish this building?
Well, environmentally, what you face is the concrete is the silicon, is the crystallized silicon,
Okay.
and it's pretty toxic.
Right.
It's really toxic.
Right.
And this building, it's a unicorn in terms of its design.
Right, yes.
But also its construction materials and methods. You cannot implode it, so give that up. You have to start taking it down from the top, one story at a time. And because it cantilevers out, you have to be careful that it doesn't pancake.
Yes.
And then you have to use something called a wet system
Okay.
of the concrete. So you wet it before you start construction.
To try and contain.
and then you wet it as you break it up, and then you wet it as you put it on
To
the
try
truck.
and contain the toxicity.
Right, because it has the greatest capability of sort of leaving the demolition site.
And that's what I brought up with him, because I was like, whoever is in the wind's path, you're talking about 10 to 15 years and 20 years later, now with class action lawsuit because of lung cancer and issues as a result of that.
One AI model run on it, and it wasn't a perfect model. It was a brutalist building, but it was not at the same level of construction.
Sure.
Predicted it would take 50 truckloads a day for almost a year to take the building down. Not the parking lot, because you remember you had 750,000 above and 750,000 below. And that
1 year, every day, 50 trucks. Holidays, weekends, everything.
every work day.
Every work day. Okay.
So I also want to point out from a financing standpoint is the garage was built with hotel tax money.
Okay.
Okay. And it is connected to the convention center.
Pardon me. Yes.
So it is my belief that we should utilize that revenue source, not general fund money
fix
or
the-
GO bonds, to fix that. Okay? Now, in that big report, it says 61 million to fix down there. No, it's not going. This building was made to withstand
A lot.
a lot.
Yes.
I
it
was in that building on 9/11. Not when the
I
train
was there the night, the Saturday of the storm, and we really didn't know how bad it was until we looked out the windows because you could not hear.
You don't hear it.
Yes.
So, in those, how you pay for this and how you stack the revenue sources, that basement piece should be paid for with hot tax, because indeed it is connected to the convention center
So
and paid for that way.
So part of that vote that we did for those $3 billion for the convention center and Fair Park and other projects in there, it should be fixed with that money.
And let's talk about Fair Park.
Yeah, because I want to make sure, and I told Chad, sorry, Councilman West, I want Fair Park to get his money.
The voters voted for it. They voted
yes.
for 20% of 2%,
Yes.
which went from the 13 to the 15. And it is supposed to get that money.
Right.
And that was 22. We're now at 26.
Mm-hmm.
We've done half of the Cotton Bowl.
Yes.
Okay. But not all that was hot tax out of that 140 million. How it's being repaid is partially with hot tax,
Okay.
but partially with the State Fair of Texas gives Fair Park every year what's called their excess revenues. Whatever they make over and above,
Okay.
break even point for the fair and their investments, they give to buildings in Fair Park
Okay.
for
Maintenance.
and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And it can be used on pretty much any of the buildings. They're using that money as part of what pays back that 140 million. And the council voted in 2024, 25, to add a $2 ticket tax on Dos Equis.
Okay.
And that $2 ticket tax
It's to help.
sweeps over and is collateral for the 140 million. So the 140 million is not all from hot tax.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. So the Dos Equis really needs to get some high time programming over there so we can get this money.
Well, they are, I should say Dos Equis and their programmer have done very well. They're going to have increased competition in Frisco and some of these other places.
Yes.
But
yes.
they
and especially, I'm sorry, with the stadium, with them wanting Mavericks wanting a new stadium, and they want to bring Live Nation. That is additional competition.
These are all Live Nation.
Additional competition.
And you could put in Memorial Stadium. It depends on how big the venue
right
you want. And I've seen the Mavericks say they want to create a little venue. They're not talking about Memorial Auditorium. A little venue that's really premium venue where you bring in, the high-end stars.
Yes,
and
the
pay the high
Beyonce.
ticket price.
Yes.
And Beyonce can walk from the hotel into it, and that is a direct quote from them.
From the breakfast meeting.
From the breakfast meeting. So Fair Park still doesn't have its money that has been promised to it in 2022.
That's right.
And if you want, we all want to incentivize things to happen in the southern sector.
Yes, because, that is a economic engine for South Dallas, for Robert B. Cullen, for Malcolm X, 2nd Avenue, Fitzhugh, their exposition that can really blossom over the next 20 years.
And the money was to go into the 6 buildings, all of which are revenue generating. So the Music Hall.
Hall of State?
No.
No?
Hall of State is not a revenue generating building.
Okay.
It's Hall of State, Coliseum, Cotton Bowl, the
auto buildings?
No. Well, the automobile, yes.
Okay.
And Centennial, and the band shell.
Okay.
Because the band shell can produce revenue and do, once again, concerts.
Yes.
Both the Coliseum and the band shell can produce at various level events and concerts.
Yes.
Depending on your side.
Right.
Obviously, the band shell, you compare more to the Hollywood Bowl. It's more of a summer venue. The symphony would probably, potentially perform there in the summer, and you would go, and the plans.
It's more intimate.
It's more intimate.
Yes.
And it's a lovely sort of Art Deco.
Yes.
And it could be great. The Coliseum, it's 1950s, and you need to do some expansion because right now you can't walk from one side to the other without going outside.
Oh.
Yeah. So you have to make that. But you need, in order to make Fair Park viable financially, you need to make these investments. And the money has been voted on by the voters.
Put it in. Give it the money.
Put it in the Fair Park where you promised. And you've got a lot of investment coming from state and federal and the city all along the Martin Luther King corridor.
Yes.
The
trolley that's supposed to be coming.
The Forest Theater, our friends at the other end.
Yes.
Which is all part of the cultural district. You're getting the library, the community, so all that sort of being redone. And I hope more businesses, which
should follow. Yes, as a result of the investment. So, as you said in the very beginning, that it is a true partnership that makes these successful with private and public funding.
Right.
And so none of this just happens in a vacuum, and it takes time where you see it at the level where it's like, where the general public really notices it. Because I remember Bishop Arts when my daughter was small, she was '05, and we looked at moving over there, and I was like, okay, there's like nothing here, and you're complaining about moving to South Dallas because there's nothing. And then boom, Bishop Arts became the hotspot.
And they're doing great, but they have growing pains
Yes.
around them.
And it takes time to get there and planning to get there to make it something, as you said, connect the dots.
If you want it to be resilient, you have to kind of curate it. You have to think about what, and we're still in that process. For example, in the Arts District,
Okay.
we built all these venues,
Mm-hmm.
$1 billion basically
Mm-hmm.
of venues from the DMA to One Arts.
Yes.
Then you've built new buildings, residential, both homeowner and you have an office.
Yes.
And I started together with two artists something called Aurora, which is an outdoor, you do it once every other year, it's sort of this very large scale light art exhibition. And that, the most we brought, we would bring 50,000 down there. But it got to the point where you couldn't, it's harder to control.
Right,
You're bringing
right,
50,000 into a tight space like that. But you need to curate what happens on your street outside of your buildings.
Yes.
What's going on in these buildings, the AT&T Performing Arts Center, the Moody Performance Hall, the DMA, the Symphony, they're all doing well in their programming. It's bringing it out. It's turning out and going to the street and connecting the dots. Pearl Street is too wide.
Right.
It's scary.
Right.
It's
Yes,
kind of
to
scary
navigate,
to
as a
crawl.
walker. Yes.
We now have more, whether it's Trammell Pro Center and a number of these places, AT&T Performing Arts Center, have outdoor spaces where you can sit, and that's really important. I've had a new hip, a new knee, a child lives in Spain, these old European cities where you walk all day.
Yeah.
The gift of those cities is there are places along the way to sit.
Mm-hmm.
And the same needs to be
here
said
for the
here.
yes. If we want to curate those kind of experiences.
If you really want people to stay, to hang, to come back.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand the whole concept of coming early and then staying late before the game. Because in my mind, if I'm going to the game, I'm eating at the game or I'm eating at home before I go to the game. I'm not going to a premium high-end restaurant and then go to the game and spend more money on concessions and then leave the game and then go spend more money on food, beverage, whatever.
If I go down like the big Billy Can, you go down that, but typically you're going down there and eating. You don't go there necessarily before you. I think they do very well.
Right.
And they sort of score well in different reviews and so forth. But I don't know how many people are pre-post game going to that specific route. I can't say.
No. And just for me, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And I'm not trying to say I'm closed-minded. I'm just saying that, I've gone to Mavericks games and Stars games. Once the game is over, I'm out.
Well, the other thing is big concerts.
Right.
In which case, you're not dieting for the Bruce Springsteen. You're typically going and maybe having a snack.
Yeah.
And sitting typically in a. It's
I don't know, but maybe with conferences you can have more of that because they're a captive audience because they're there for X amount of days.
Well,
I don't know.
Then the other question becomes, in order to build a new stadium at a higher price point, then you're going to have to higher price point all the seats, all the suites, and that sort of thing. And what is the appetite? And I can't answer that.
Yeah. Who is that customer base really? That
How big is that customer base?
right? Because like I did with my 30 pieces of silver, it's the Henrys. It is the working rich. So people that have households salaries above $250,000, and we're not all walking around like bringing in that kind of money to be able to, say this is where I want to go. And again, you talk about competition. There's 7 of these entertainment districts in the DFW area, which were considered tier 1. There's a limited pool of monies that you're trying to attract to go to these various entertainment districts.
Yes, no question about it. And people tend to want to look to be closer. You don't necessarily travel to the next space.
I'm not going to Mansfield to their entertainment district to go hang out. I'm not going to Frisco.
I go to Corsicana. They sort of have an arts residency, but that's once a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or Waxahachie has done some interesting
Yes.
Work on their downtown, their historic quarter, but I'm not going there all the time.
No.
Most
No.
of the time.
So it seems like a very limited market, and you are going to have to charge almost a kidney if you're really wanting to recoup the money on this price tag that you're wanting, because your pool of money that you're marketing to sounds smaller.
Yeah.
And maybe I just don't know. I'm not a marketer. I didn't study that in school, but just common sense. There's not a whole huge pot.
Well, and I wonder, downtown Dallas has actually done fairly well in the conversion of office to residential
Yes.
because of the size of the floor plates and so forth. But that typically, if it's a historic building over 50 years old, it becomes a landmark. You can get historic tax credits. You can get incentives from the city. The city is known to buy a historic easement. The Kirby,
Yeah.
the city bought that has a historic easement on it. Those kinds of incentives. And how much money do you have in the tax increment financing district to pay for not only the conversions, which you need to continue to do, the connections from the other place? How much money do you have in that, or are you going to use more of your TIF money over toward the convention center?
Yeah.
And nobody's seen the plan to tell you kind of how that's going to. I mean,
Well, seeing that they don't have a plan and a budget for the convention center, I can't imagine that there is a plan for that.
the most successful TIF districts, and I've just read a study on this in Dallas, have been ones like State Thomas, City Place, Downtown Connector TIF. The Arena TIF district was kind of the least successful.
Really? Okay.
Okay, in driving that change, and part of that was probably that conversion in whatever year it was from 43 to 200 and something.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It may have been part of that, but it's not. It's the least successful in terms of driving the kind of
change
growth and change.
Okay. Wow. So you have given us a great lesson in how the money gets moved around, because that's what it is. It's not curating new money. It is moving money around from one hot spot to another hot spot. And of course, when you're in between, you don't pay attention to this kind of stuff because you're out there, doing what 20-year-olds do. But now, as someone who's heavily invested in the city, I'm starting to see patterns emerge. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And there's not an endless pot of money.
And you have, downtown Dallas is about 21% of the land area is parking lots. And those used to be buildings that
Yes.
probably had a business
Yes.
in them, and the question.
Yes.
So do you want to tear down more buildings to
invest and build a building, or do you want to take those parking lots and make them into
They are
something?
doomed at the minimum of 20 years if you tear them down. A minimum of 20 years before they cut that. That's the statistic on them. And there are places in downtown that those have been parking lots for as you said,
as far back as I can remember,
for generations.
Yeah. Yes.
For generations. That kind of.
Yes. Especially those parking lots on the backside of City Hall. I don't remember what they were before that.
I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I've lived here since '85. I can't tell you.
Right. So yes, those are the opportunity spaces to develop and make something happen. But
And connect between the farmers market, which is another
yes,
area of growth,
yes,
and residential growth, and
downtown. Because I ran up Harwood to run past the Stavler, to run by the old Greyhound station, to keep going down my Botham Jean Boulevard that I can't keep going down now. I'm pissed at y'all for doing that. I'm sorry. But I appreciate you walking us through, because I don't think that people really understand. It'll be a new shiny bauble, and we got to do this because they'll start bringing money. But again, it will end up being just another bubble.
I'll leave you this thought. And the UT Arlington School of
Yes.
Architecture, Urban Planning, and Public Affairs has done a fabulous job of coming up with a plan for downtown Dallas, which is kind of the 15-minute city that kind of connects everything. They find a way to get 50 acres the Mavericks say they want without touching City Hall and connecting it, because if you do it economically on the convention center, you can get about 30 acres out of that, and you get about 18 acres behind City Hall. So you can do it.
Right.
And what is so encouraging is these are young people who
are the future.
They are the future planners, and they're also the future residents of places like this.
Yes.
They know what they're looking for.
Exactly.
And they dug deep. They looked into view corridors, street widths, microclimates, everything. It took them an hour to present to a group, one by one, as they presented it. So they've submitted that to the city manager, and I hope the council and the public will see this.
I hope so too.
Because it is amazing, and I want to applaud them.
For our youth coming forth with something that in their lifetime will be their experience for the city. So please do the right thing. And people who are learning about this, ask the hard questions, ask the hard questions, ask the hard questions, because it cannot just be about, oh, if we build it, they will come kind of mentality. Because as you're such a wealth of knowledge, and I am honored to call you a friend, a mentor, everything, because you make yourself available to me anytime I text or call you. That we have to do better with planning and looking at the big picture and connecting the dots on everything, because you can't have all of these little pop-ups all over and think they're going to be successful in the long run.
No.
So I appreciate
That's why we go to these European cities that are all connected.
to get ideas.
People are constantly going to, Florence and Madrid and Barcelona and saying, this is great, I have all this stuff on the
Let's
street.
look at what they're doing with their transportation and mass transit and all this great stuff.
And you go, well, that's because they've planned it.
They planned it.
They planned it well.
So ask the hard questions. Demand the answers for it. Because I will say, Save Dallas City Hall, we put in a lot of work. I've tried to do my part with educating people on the history of things from the AAC to now, and all of those changes and connecting the dots from that perspective. But you brought up great points with the planning. How is this all going to work out? Where in 20 years, and remember this, in 20, 25 years, they're going to want another daggum stadium somewhere else in this flocking city.
That's
so,
right.
yes. And again, with Councilman West, I was like, the AAC potentially will become a ghost town because it's been decimated with teams leaving. And it just got to where it is today.
And I'm seeing more concerts. And I haven't made a side-by-side comparison. But a lot of things are going to Dickies Arena over in, Bruno Mars, Lady Gaga. I mean, these are big acts.
Yes.
Big acts.
Yes.
And people coming from Dallas to go see that.
Yeah. So.
And why weren't they at the American Airlines Center? I don't know.
We may never know. But we definitely have to force the hand on having a better plan, because we cannot go about this haphazardly.
Transparency.
Yeah. And really just say, oh, well, the taxpayers will help fund there's a cap on what your taxpayers can do, and we've already seen that with the sales tax revenue. And as Councilman West said, because the convention center is being torn down, we're going to have less tax revenue, sales tax revenue coming in. So this is it financially. I say it all the time. It doesn't sound like a prudent move to make. I don't care what the promises are. Financially, it does not sound like a prudent move to make.
And my quote in a Mark Lamster article was, hire a planner, not a developer.
And we're going to close it
We're
on
gonna
that.
close with that.
All right.